Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to start another project, and this is the third time I'm trying this, and that is Bokashi composting. So the first time I did it was a complete failure. I never really filled up the bucket, it smelled horrible, I ended up dumping it in the yard. All the waste was eaten by the microbes in my yard though, and it was really good soil there. So it was a success in that respect, but the inside my house part of it, not so much. I couldn't even open it in the house, it smelled so bad. So I'm trying to learn from my mistakes, and I did it again. Second time worked a lot better. There was still some odor and some issues, but it did work overall. And then I put it in my worm bins where that didn't go great, but did work, but it was a process. So we're gonna try this a third time. We're gonna change it up a little bit more. I'm gonna make sure to add more bran to the system, so that way we have less issues, hopefully, with smell. And then on top of that, I'm doing a bucket system that is not going to have a drain on it. So I did some research online, and some people said that this works really well. So I'm gonna show you how I make a system that's out of one bucket, one sealable lid, and bedding in the bottom to hold in the moisture. So let me show you what I'm going to do, and we're going to get this started today. All right, here. So I've got my bucket, which I know is dirty, but I'm using an old Home Depot bucket, and then I have this leak-tight lid. So this lid has, I'm not sure if you can tell in here, it's hard to see because it's all black, but there's actually a rubber washer gasket in here going around this entire lid. You might be able to see it a little bit easier up on this side. You can see maybe you can see it, I don't know, it's hard to tell, on that side. And then this is a screw-off lid. I'm not gonna push it on all the way quite yet. And on here, you can see it a lot better on here. There is a white gasket going all the way around. So this is airtight, this lid, or it's supposed to be. So, a little hard to get back on here without being connected yet. So, now, the plan is I'm going to have this on here. I'm going to press this on. Afterwards, I'm going to press this on all the way. I'm afraid to do it right now while I'm on top of another system right now. But the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that I'm not going to have any drainage in the bottom. On my prior systems, I've drilled holes in the bottom, and then I've let it run into another bucket. I've pulled this bucket out, drained that bucket off, and then put it back in. And I was finding all along the sides over here, all these bugs and everything that were coming in and dying in there, trying to get in the system or out of the system. So I want to eliminate that. So this is going to be a true airtight system. Because of these gaskets being on here, this should be airtight. I'm also going to clean off this rim just to make sure there's nothing, kind of blocking it on. But what we need to do is talk about the liquid. There's going to be a lot of liquid in here, and this is a 5-gallon bucket, which is going to be easy to fill at this time of year for me, especially with the way my family is going through food scraps being at home all the time. But this is a 5-gallon bucket, and we need to absorb that liquid. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a combination of materials in the bottom here. That's what people told me will work. So I'm first adding hardwood pellets. I'm going to add a couple, or not even a couple, probably about 1 inch of hardwood pellets in here. So remember, these expand quite a bit too when they get wet. So that's the first thing we're going to add. One more scoop. So, and this is a 1 pint, this container, so that's about how much that I'm adding in here. Now, I don't think that's going to be quite enough because this is 5 gallons. So we're going to add some shredded paper on top of that. And I have shredded paper right here. This is a combination of office paper and cardboard. We're going to add a couple inches of that in here as well. So some of this material is going to be taken up with this. So there's probably about 3 to 4 inches of material in here. And this is going to get, let me just shut that, compressed down. This is going to be compressed down. The air is going to get out of here. As this fills up with liquid, it's going to get, I put pressure on it, it's going to get pushed down. So that's not going to be really that much of an issue. Now, the next thing we do need in here, other than food, is our Bokashi bran. And I did buy a new package of bran just for this. All right, so this is the brand that I bought. This is off of Amazon. It's Bokashi Brothers. This is a 2.2 pound bag. I'll have a link down below so you can buy this off of Amazon. And if you please click on my links to buy it, because that does help me get a little bit extra money that I could do projects like this. So this is the Bokashi that I bought. Now, to start with, and this is one thing I think I ended up doing wrong last time, is I did not add enough Bokashi, which is why part of the system worked and part of it did not. So I'm going to open this up right now. And we're going to dump in a good amount of Bokashi on the bottom of this to get this, so that way when this gets going, there's going to be already Bokashi in here and already those positive microbes. And then we're going to also, of course, add this with every layer of food. So that's the way this is going to work. Now, I think I'm ready for my first layer of food. I should just shake this around a little bit. All right, there we go. So now I'm ready for the first layer of food really to go on here. And I have a big container here. Now this is frozen right now of waste food. So this is banana peels, which we are going through these like a champ during this lockdown. And then we've got the ends of the cob. We have the cob, and then we also have in here that I'm trying these again, chicken bones. I really want to be able to process chicken bones. That's one of the things that I'm desperate to process with these, because we go through a lot of stuff like that, and I want to be able to process it down. So now I'm going to get some more. I'm going to put some more bran in here. We're going to push this down eventually, but not quite yet, because I can almost fill this bucket up already. And this is only about 1 week's worth of stuff. So I'm going to add a lot of bran in here, because the one thing I was told is if you add meat and bones, you need a lot of bran. And I think I made that mistake last time where I added some meat, added some bones, and then I didn't add enough bran. And that caused part of the issue that we were having. So, second container of food. This one is primarily banana peels. In fact, it is nearly all banana peels and then a couple avocado skins. And as I said, this is just from 1 week in my house, essentially. We go through a lot of bananas and a lot of fruit and vegetables while we've been home, and it's been a problem for me to process it all. My worms just cannot process this quick enough. So this is still from just 1 week, because remember, my freezer locked up, and I had to put everything in my worm bins that I had, and this is just from 1 week. So this is how much we are eating. We go through about 4 to 8 bananas a day between my family of 4. Well, 5 if you consider my little pup. So I'm going to add some more bran on top of that. Now, the other part of this is pushing this down. So I'm going to get a piece of material that I can use to push this down and collect the air. All right, for this, I'm using a simple plastic bag that's from the grocery store. I'm just going to push down with my hands and collapse everything down in here as best I can. Now, I can't put too much pressure because this is sitting on a table. So now the next thing I want to do is I need to get this lid on. So first thing I'm going to show you guys here, because the bucket's dirty, I'm just going to take a wet shirt here that I have and just kind of clean this off a little bit. And this cleans off pretty well since this is just dirt that's up here. You know, it's really not, it shouldn't hurt the Bokashi process as I'm putting in all this other bran into the mix. There we go. As you can tell, got quite a bit of dirt off. Let me just go around one more time just to make sure that this is nice and clean. Make a nice good seal with this lid. All right, there we go. And now it's time to push this on. Let's see if we can push this on while we're up here. All right, lighting isn't quite as good down here, but let's just see if we can just stomp this thing on here. There we go. Need a little bit more pressure. So now it's on, and this should be nice and sealed. And then we should be able to just screw this lid on to make this airtight. So, and now this is an airtight container. No air can get in or out. And we are good to go. Now, before I do this though, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead, I think, and fill up this bucket now. Or at least the majority of the way. So we're gonna take this off. We're gonna take this off. And we're gonna add in some more food. And again, I've got more banana peels, strawberries, just tons of food. That we go through a lot of this stuff in the house. And we primarily eat fresh fruits and vegetables. And we make a lot of fruit shakes. So, as you can tell, we've got a lot of stuff in here that can go into these bins. Some strawberries and some grapes that went bad as well. Look at that. This is already almost full. And this is only really about a week and a half worth of stuff that I'm showing you here for what we eat. Now, I'm going to press this down by actually stepping in the bucket here. Because I really, really want to mash this together. This should be really packed tight in here. I mean, you should really, really be packing this stuff tight. And these are frozen, so they're not going to pack quite as tight as they would if they were fresh. So, that's why I'm putting my foot in here. If they were fresh, this would pack down pretty easily. But with the frozen foods, it takes a little bit more pressure. So now that we've got that, I'm going to add more bran. As I said, I'm adding a lot of bran this time. I want to make sure that we don't have any rotten food at the end of this. And that is the plan, is to really make sure that this is really composted well. So I'm adding a lot more than normally you would, or, you know, is recommended. I also don't know how great this this bran is. Other people seem to really like it. They say it works really well. But, who knows? I'm not testing it in any way. So now I'm going to put this back in here. We still have another, we've got a little bit further to go before this is full. So I think we're going to wait on closing it up fully. But this is the first add on it, and I will continue to add to this, and I'll try to film it every time so you guys can see how much I'm adding to this, because I'm really going to fill this up. And probably in a couple days, or maybe, probably 2 days, I'll probably pack this down even more, because this is still, it's all frozen food, so it's going to take time for it to build up. Now, we're going to set this lid on, make sure it's nice and tight, and it's sealed, and we're ready to go. So this is it, our Bokashi bucket, and we're starting this on June 1st. So this is perfect timing. Actually, you can feel it's cold here, so it's still got to warm up, get up to temperature, and it's got to start the fermentation process. I don't know what frozen food does to it, but I will be adding a lot more bran just to make sure that it can handle this, and we don't end up with a system that actually smells bad in any way. Okay, here we are, June 2nd, so second day. We're going to open this back up. I have another big container of food here to add. As I said, this is just the way it is right now with us going through a lot of food very quickly. So this should be thawed out. And what we're going to do here is we're going to, as you can tell, there's plenty of bran in there. No odor right now, obviously. And we're going to just dump this in. We're already getting close to the top here with how quickly we're moving here. So now, to push this down, I'm going to do the same thing, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add more Bokashi bran to the top. Make sure that there's enough in here. I really want to make sure this works properly. I'm adding a lot this time compared to my last attempts at this. And we're going to just see how this goes here. We're going to push this down again. And I'm going to use my foot again to really push this down. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to grab another thing that I've got here off to the side that I can use to do this. All right, so what I have here is just a piece of cutting board that's been cut up that fits into a bucket. So I'm going to use this to push this down as hard as I can, and that way it really has a good solid surface that I'm pushing down. I'm going to put a lot of weight on there, really push it down. So there we go. This is really pushed down. I still have about 4 inches left in the bucket. So as you can tell, it's looking pretty good. We're filled up to probably about right here. So we still have more room in here for more food, and I'm going to put more pressure on it later. We're going to try to really make sure this is packed in tight when I stop and leave it for 2 weeks and go back to this. So that's our second day of adding material to this, and we'll come back again and add more later. All right, here's the June 9th feeding. Let it seal down. Taking it off. Fermentation odor in here, definitely. Nothing else though. I'm going to take this block out. Take this off. Some moisture on the surface of this bag that I'm just putting on the top. Already some white mold growing in there, it looks like. So it's been a while since my last ad, but I've got a lot of food to add in here. I've got corn, banana, and some of this is frozen, and a little bit of water in here because of the and some mushrooms. Let's see if I can get all this stuff in here. Now, just as I was doing before, I'm going to add a lot of extra Bokashi. I'm adding a lot. I'm not adding a little bit, I'm adding a lot this time when I do these ads. Because I'm putting in corn, I'm putting in meat. In the bottom is meat and shells and bones. So I'm going to be adding a lot of Bokashi to this, as I said. Now it's time to try to push this down. So I'm going to put this sheet right back on top here. Kind of move it down a little bit with my hands to get it back in the bucket. And then we're going to use this again as the pusher. This is just a cutting board. And I'm going to push it down with my foot again to really, really get it pushed down. All right, so there we go. That's pushed down. We still have, it looks like, probably 3 inches left of room. So this is holding a lot, this 5-gallon bucket. As I said, I'm putting in a lot of Bokashi brand though in this one. And now we're going to close it back off. I'm going to leave this out this time. I don't want this to start smelling by accident, so I'm going to leave it out and put it off to the side. We're going to put the lid back on and let it continue fermenting here. So I think that's sealed. And we're going to put it off to this. All right, a feeding on June 10th here, or edition. So there's already the Bokashi in here. We're going to add in some more fruit scraps. This is some bad grapes, mango, carrot, a little bit of celery, some lettuce, and of course, I'm going to add some more Bokashi to the top here. All right, I'm going to take our bag. Put this in first, and our pushing mechanism here. We're just gonna, again, I'm gonna use my foot here to really put some pressure on it, push it down nice and tight. Then I'm gonna just take this plate out, and it's ready to go. So we'll continue to go. We still have 3 inches probably feeding, or addition, I should say. There we go. Definitely getting a fermented smell from this now. You know, since we've had it going for quite a few days now. But no bad odor. Now for this time, we had a bag of greens go bad on us somehow. Normally we whip through these things pretty quickly, but the end of this bag just was smelled horrible after just a few days. Get all this stuff out of here. All right, that's most of it. So we're going to add some of our Bokashi. We're going to push this down as well. This should compress pretty well. It was already kind of compressed in there. All right. I'm going to take our bag, put it back on top. We're going to kind of push everything back down in here. We're going to put our big plate on here that we use as a pusher. I'm just going to push it down this time with my hands. I don't think I need to step on it. And take this out and close it back up. We're starting to get there though with filling this up now. This is kind of squishy, this stuff, so this might not work as well, but we still have some space, and this will probably compress down a little bit as it loses some of its moisture. So that's our feeding for June 11th. And there we 18th, and here's another large feeding coming up. Open this up here. Gotta lock it down with my feet. A slight odor coming off this time. Might need a little bit more Bokashi in there. So we're going to see though. We're going to add some more scraps in here. Press it down just like we have in the past. These are frozen this time, so. Again, lots of banana. We go through a lot of bananas in this house. Strawberry that went bad before we finished it. We have some apple cores. And let me just dump the rest of this in. Some mushrooms. Some celery and some carrots. So there we go. That's in there. Just mix this, push it around a little bit, make sure everything's nice and packed in as much as possible. All right, that's good. Now we're going to add our Bokashi mix. It definitely doesn't smell like it's fermenting. I'm going to add a lot more Bokashi this time for this bran. But we are getting up to where it's almost full here, and then we get to let it sit. So we're going to be adding a lot here. So, as you can tell, I added quite a bit on the top there. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this bag back on top. And I'm going to push this down. Really crunched down this time. So put a lot of weight in there, make sure it's really compressed. Take this out. Let's close it back up. We still looks like have like a couple inches to go before this is full. I was thinking this would be full by now, but that's for this feeding. We'll come back again a couple days and feed it again. All right, here we are, June 17th. I'm going to open this back up, add another feeding. Definitely has a slight odor to it. Doesn't smell quite like fermenting, but it's not bad. As you can tell, I am adding a lot of the Bokashi still, and I plan to do it again. A lot of lettuce in here that went bad somehow. Some banana peels, apple cores. So all this is not frozen. I'm going to grab a glove and push this down just a little bit before I add some more Bokashi mix. And we are starting to get up towards the top here. So there we go. That's pushed down a little bit. We're going to push it down obviously with the other stuff as well. We're going to add a bunch of Bokashi to this. All right, we're going to put our bag back on. And I'm going to grab my plate here that I used to push this down. Put some pressure on it. Really try to push it down. I'm just going to stand on this almost. All right. That was all my weight on it. Take this out. We still have a couple inches left in here. So I'm going to close this back up. And we'll come back and feed again. Feeding, or here's the addition of food on June 21st. Definitely a lot of white mold in here, which is, I think, a good sign. I'm going to be adding in just a couple of things that are dried out here. These are avocados, the seeds, and some of the shells. I then have also, and I'm going to be adding extra bokashi because of this, these are some crab legs. So I know that shell can be put in here, as the lobster went through pretty well last time. And then for the last part here, some more avocado, and of course a banana. As you can tell, probably I have lots of banana peels that we go through. And some strawberries that went bad, and some celery. And it looks like this might be the last addition for this, and then we're going to come back. Let's just wait and see here. Let me push this down. Let me grab my gloves here. I might have a little bit more room in here, but it's going to be pretty tight. Okay, so we push that down. All right, before we do anything else and push it down even more, we're going to add, of course, some of our bokashi. We're going to add a little bit extra this time, maybe. Because of the shells in here, really don't want those to be, I want to make sure those are broken down. Now, just so you guys know, I've used about half this bag so far. So, this is a 2-pound bag. So I've used about a pound of bokashi in here, approximately. But I've been very, very, very generous with the amount of bokashi I'm putting in. This might be our last one here. This might be our last feeding, I think. I think that we're going to try pushing this down. We'll see how much it goes down. I don't think it's going to go down too much. But we're really, really close to the top here. I don't know if I'll be able to get the lid on it unless I can get it down. All right. Yeah, I think this is our last feeding. We are as close as we're going to get to the top without interfering with the screw here. Because remember, this screw goes down into the bucket. It doesn't stay on top. So that's it. So as of June 21st here, we're sealing this up. I'm just going to make sure this is sealed nice and tight. And we'll come back in 2 weeks and take a look at it. It's been 2 weeks and 1 day. So first thing first, I just want to show you here. This is 69 degrees about for the soil in here. It ranges across a little bit as you're moving around. But that's about the range of the temperatures in there. Now, okay, here's our bucket. And just so you get an idea here, the lid of this is saying 72 degrees or so, 71 to 72 degrees. So we're going to open this up. We're going to see how the temperature is inside it, and then we're going to add it to this container back here, which has a mixture of soil and compost, and we're going to bury it in here, and hopefully it doesn't smell. And we're going to see how this breaks down. So let's open this up. Let's take off our layer here. As you can tell, there's tons of white mold in here, which is perfectly fine. First thing first, smell test. It smells a little bad. I'll be honest with you. It doesn't smell great, but it doesn't smell outrageously putrid either. So we're going to add this in here. There is a little bit of green mold in here, which I don't think you're really supposed to get on this. This really is supposed to be primarily white mold. But we're still going to add it in here. This is a test to see how this will work on an indoor system. And if I need to, I can always add more soil, or I can take this outside and dump it if it gets too bad. So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to take, well, I've got gloves on here, but I'm going to grab my shovel here and make a little cavity in here to add this to, because we're really going to bury it in. Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll bury it on one side, so we can really kind of bury it in here. So I'm going to just move this over to one side. This is a 55-gallon tote, by the way, if you're curious. Let me move this back now. All right, let me move you a little bit closer so you can see the action a little better. All right, so let's dump this in here and see how this goes. There we go. There's everything out of it, I think. Does have an odor to it. It's not too bad compared to the other times I've done Bokashi, but I'll definitely need to put this outside and rinse it out really well. Now we need to bury this, and now it's starting to smell a little bit. Now I can definitely smell it. So we need to spread this out a little bit in here. And we need to bury this in here and make sure that this odor really doesn't leave, and we can kind of wet this down and make sure that this is really taken care of. Now, remember I showed you slight temperature. Oops. Gotta make sure everything's buried in here. I don't want anything, and nothing on the surface for this one. And this is a mixture, as I said. I'll probably add a little bit more compost in here as I'm going. All right. So as I said, that's still showing a little bit there. This is in a 55-gallon container. So it looks like we have about half of it, let's say maybe 30 gallons of material in here total with the 5 gallons we just added. And we're gonna monitor this and see how this breaks down in here. So first thing though, let's just do another temperature check here, just for, so this is already up to 70 degrees, and we'll see if this warms up. And I'm also going to be putting a lid on this, so hopefully it doesn't, we'll see how much this heats up and if it kills anything in there. As far as worms or anything, there are a few in there, but not many. Most of this is, a lot of this is already sorted out, so there's not a lot in there, but there could be a few. So that's the start. We'll come back probably in a few days and check the temperature and see how it's doing. And I am going to put the lid on fully. So let me just show you that here. This is the lid that I have. And this is going to be on here fully. It's fully locked down. So that's how we're going to keep it, and we're going to see how this does. This would be a good example of what you could do during the winter with Bokashi, and especially for those that don't want to add it to their worm bins like I did the last time, which I don't think I will do again. I think I'll always add it to something like this or bury it out in my yard. And we'll see if this has an odor and if this works. Maybe I need more material in there, maybe less, I don't know, we'll see. All right guys, today is June 10th. So the temperature on here is 73 degrees on that side, 73 degrees on that side. The floor is about 72 degrees, so it's about the same. And the side right there is also 72 degrees, or almost 73. So let's open it up. There's no odor so far outside here. Let's open this up and see how it's doing. Oh, I can tell one thing right now. It's wet inside here, so there's definitely humidity going on in here. No odor though that I can tell. Hold on, let me just dump all this water out in here. I don't smell anything. There's no odor. Let's just see what the temperature is. 77 degrees, so it's definitely warming up. It's kind of breaking down in there. Let's just see if we get to the other end here. It drops in temperature, and it just keeps dropping and drops right down to the floor temperature. So this is definitely heating up in here, but this was enough soil to keep it contained. So just trying to see if there's any really big readings anywhere. Lots of moisture buildup, but no odor. So this is working so far. I'm actually pretty impressed that there's no odor, and if we were to dig it up, there might be some, so I'm not going to do that. We'll do that maybe in a week or so after, 2 weeks after adding this, and see how it looks. But it's doing a really good job of containing it. I mean, look at this. This, there's temperature, but it's not, and you can see the moisture on the side right over there, but there's no issues with odor, which I had when I added this to my worm bin. So this is just soil and worm castings. So there probably are some worms in here, and this might actually have a major population boom in here of worms at some point. Like, I can't control that. You're gonna have some eggs or cocoons go through, and you're gonna have some worms go through your sifting, and they're gonna end up in here, and they're gonna start populating this, I bet. So we'll see in a few weeks how this looks and if the worms are starting to move in or not. All right, so it's been 14 days here since I added the Bokashi. Let's just check the lid here. It's holding at 73 across the lid, or just below 73. Let's check the floor. The floor is also at 73. And the bottom of the container here is a little bit warmer. Looks like it jumped up to above 73, although it looks actually nice, looks fine. So no real heat from this. Now, I want to say we're going to open this up here. I do have a sample of my really good mix here that's ready to go in this container. This is already pre-sorted if you watch any of my sorting videos. And that is just in case this smells really bad, because I have no idea how this is going to be when I open it up, but it is time to open it. So all the materials on this side, so I'm going to come around to the other side here. And I'm going to put on some gloves here just in case, because we're going to dig through a little bit and see how this looks. And we're going to see how this is breaking down. Since it's been 2 weeks, I'm hoping to see a lot of items that are broken down in here. First thing first, again, tons of moisture on the lid here. Look at that. Absolutely a ton of moisture here. We have some white mold on top, which would be the Bokashi brand. I was just trying to get rid of some of the water here. Which would be this Bokashi brand here. So, as you can see, got white mold forming. I've got a couple spiders in here. I don't know if you can see this one down here or not, but there's actually a big spider in here. That's fine. They're preventing bugs from getting in here and everything, so I don't mind that. Let's just take a look in here and dig down. Actually, you know what? Give me a second here. Let me I've got one clean hand still. Let's grab the temperature gun real quick. 75 degrees in there. So it's warming up. And we're going to keep digging down. We'll see what the temperature's like as we go further down. Still no smell at all, which is very, very nice. I can really feel some heat down here. Getting up to 78. So 79, almost 80. Really, really warm in here. I can feel the heat. Definitely over 80. So we're doing good. But I mean, this is all this material on top is just, I mean, like there was a bunch of stuff in here. This wasn't very deep, a lot of this stuff. Let's just dig down in here and see. No smell. Looks like this is part of an avocado shell. Very warm. I mean, this pile right here is almost 80, 87 degrees. It's cooling off probably as it sits out here in the open. Little bit of odor to this now. Not too bad, but it looks like this is a bone right here. Still pretty solid. So the bones aren't quite breaking down like I'd hoped, but most of the other material is, especially this vegetable and fruit matter. These are banana peels, I think. They're sort of breaking down. Let's just see in here. 84 degrees. Definitely some odor coming off of this now. These were some grape stems and some other stuff. I don't know what those are. Definitely has an odor right now. I think I'm going to be burying this back in. We're going to add some more material at the top. I don't want this to take over my basement, so this isn't done yet. But it's working its way there. And the thing is that this is showing that this right here will work to keep the smell in. So I'm going to add some more material to the top. We're going to continue to close this up. We'll come back. It's only been 2 weeks. You're supposed to wait a month. So we're going to put some more material on the top here and we'll come back. Let's put that on right now though, because I don't want my entire basement to smell. This is all worm castings that are nicely done. Actually some worms in there too. They'll be fine in there though. Worms in there. I don't want to leave them in my tray. And those are nicely harvested castings, so these are really good castings. They should be nice and rich in microbial material, and they should help break this stuff down even more. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll take a look at this in another, 2 weeks or so. We'll come back and take another look. Piece of plastic in there. Take that out. So there we go. This is nicely covered again. All right, it is August 6th. It has been 1 month exactly since we added this, so 31 days. And let's just see here what the top looks like, 72. And on the ground, it's about the same temperature, so actually it's a little warmer on the ground. So this isn't heating up like I thought it might. So let's open it up, take a look. And let's see how this is doing on the inside and see if this stuff is finally gone, this Bokashi mix. So I'm going to be hand holding the light here. As you can see, it's pretty bright, but I'm going to hand hold it here. First off, oh, lots of moisture in here. Lots of moisture. Let's let that drip down in. Big spider actually up here as well. Right near my hand. We do have some, I don't know if you can see, but in the corner over there we have some white mold that's growing. Another spider right over there. You can see it maybe on the camera, but it's right over there. There's another spider. So, unfortunately, I don't have anywhere to put this camera, which is why I've got to hand hold it. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. Let's just dig in here a little bit and see what's in here. So we've got, looks like some fruit peels of some sort. Cobwebs in here. Throw something at that spider, scare him away. No heat really. No smell yet. Here's a corn cob. Breaks apart pretty easily. I'm not getting any odor like I've gotten in the past out of these things. Again, breaks apart really easily on this. So, cobwebs all over in here though. Lots of spiders. So the spiders have found their way in here. Sorry, bumping that. I'm gonna just get over here. So I'm not in your way maybe quite as much. All right, actually, you know what? I'm gonna have to do this. All right. A lot of the stuff appears to be gone except for these corn cobs. Let's just see, another corn cob in here. This one feels a little bit warm. Again, no odor though. So this soil factory looks like it's working pretty well. Some more stuff in the bottom here. This is where we're getting into some of the other stuff it looks like that maybe was in here. Hold on, I'm going to switch the light to the other side here so I can climb around. A little bit of odor coming out now. And we've got these shells in here. This is a chicken bone right here, I think. It's starting to break down. I don't know what this is. It feels like another bone with that's been coated with some of the mix here. So it looks like this is broken down pretty well. Some of the avocado shells are still left in here. The seed still left. Not really much done with that. Shell's pretty soft. Breaks right apart for the avocados. Any fruit matter or vegetable matter except for these corn cobs seems to be gone. What's interesting is a lot of this is worm material, and this is all castings and stuff, and there were definitely some worms in here, but I'm not seeing many of the worms. These are grapes here. Grapes, really not much done with that, but no smell. I'm not really smelling anything, which is good. That's one of the key things with these soil factories, is that you're not supposed to smell anything. So let's just turn this up a little bit, rotate it around. The only thing I'm really finding in here that are not breaking down are these bones. I was really hopeful, sorry, there we go, there's lighting, that these bones would break down, and they aren't. This is the one thing that I'm really disappointed with. Okay, here are some worms finally. These might be European night crawlers. There's a couple different types in here, so hard to know. But another avocado seed. Again, not broken down really. So I don't know if there's just not enough microbes in here, which I don't think would be the case. Here's something else here. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this was. It feels like it might have been some sort of chicken carcass, or this looks like it's a. These are chicken bones. These are chicken wings right here. They're broken down pretty well. Most of the meat's gone off of them. The bones though themselves are still pretty hard. So the bones aren't breaking down, but everything else seems to be. Oh, well, that was an avocado with a ton of worms in it. Look at that. So they're getting in here now and eating this stuff. I mean, this is the only food source really in here. This is all sorted castings. So a little bit of odor now, not too bad. But we're going to let this sit for a little longer and see what else happens to it. See if the worms can kind of chow down a little bit more. You know, these corn cobs aren't quite gone yet. I expected them to be gone by now, but they're not. So we'll kind of bury this stuff back in here, and I'm going to add another layer of my finished castings to the top of this. And we'll just let it sit for a little longer and see if this breaks down more. This is still, I think, pretty good. I mean, if I was adding this to the soil, it wouldn't be a big deal. Maybe if I let it sit in the bucket with the Bokashi a little bit longer, maybe these have been broken down a little bit more. But I'm still, the real desperate thing I'm trying to break down here are these chicken bones. I mean, this is my goal. My goal is to be able to throw these in, but maybe these need to be broken up. Maybe these need to be broken down before they go in. So this one, you can see I'm able to peel some of the leftover meat and stuff away, and the bone is still there, almost preserved. And really, that's my goal, is to get these things to break down. I'd love it if these bones could break down, because that's one of the few things that I cannot throw into my worm bins, I know. And I really want to be able to put them in something to get rid of them. The other thing are these grape stems, which take forever, I know, in a worm bin, and they can also kind of smell a little bit, but no smell from this really, maybe just a tiny bit, but no real like devastating odor where I'm like on the floor or like I need to cover this up or take it outside or anything like that. So far it's doing well after a month, but it looks like it might need some more time. But let me add in another tray of my sorted compost from my worm bins in here. And it'll have some worms, so there'll be more worms in here, but let's just add that in. I'm going to put the light down, and I'll be right back. All right, here we go. Here's a nice big batch of castings. Add those right to the top right there. Make sure we get all of them out. There we go. So everything's buried again. And we'll let this sit for longer and see how this goes. All right, today is September 19th. It's been multiple months. Let's take a look here and see how this is doing. First off, lid, a little bit of moisture, lots of spiders inside. Let's take a look at this right here. This looks pretty good. This looks like good, healthy material. Looks like all the fruits and veggies are gone. We are still finding our bones in here, though, unfortunately. I was really hoping to get rid of those this time. The bones are the one thing that I've been trying to figure out. I might have to break these open maybe before I throw them in here. A little bit of banana peel left. Avocado peels. I know those take a while to break down anyhow. Overall, this is doing pretty well. Let's just see what else we find here. Another bone. Another bone. Let's just see here. Another avocado shell. Another, this is a piece of crab. So this right here is a crab claw, or a lobster claw. Easily to break apart though, compared to the bones. A little bit of a piece of corn cob. Again, easily broken apart. Not sure what this is right here. Maybe a pit of some sort or something. It's very soft. Not sure what it is though. Another crab claw. Again, easily broken apart though. Had it been in pieces before, it might have come apart fully. Another corn cob. Another corn cob with some worms on it. Another corn cob. Oh, this is an avocado seed. I wonder if that's what the other thing was too. Break that open here. Looks like it's very soft, coming apart. I wonder if that's what the other thing was too, is an avocado seed. Another bone. Another bone. These though, I can't break them. They don't break apart. Another bone. More bones. Bone. Little bone. This one was able to break apart. Feels hollow. It looks hollow inside. It's actually hollow. I know it's hard with the lighting, but it's actually hollow inside. Most of the other stuff in here is gone. Oh, another avocado seed in here. These seeds take a little bit to break apart. It looks like actually a worm made a hole in it. So So those will probably break down over a longer period of time. Another avocado seed. This looks like this was leftover crab shells in this area. Most of them are gone except for, again, bones, more bones. This is what I was really hoping to take care of with these Bokashi system, were these bones. Again, it's hollow inside, but I was really hoping to get rid of those bones. Another bone. Another bone. Crab shell avocado pit. Corn on the cob, but that's pretty much gone. Another one that's pretty gone. Another bone. Bone. Another bone. More bones. Now there is no odor at this point. It's just the leftover pieces that just won't break down at all.
Thank you for joining me on this journey of Bokashi and testing it out. As you can see at the end here, after sorting through, I really only have a couple bones left and some avocado seeds. So that's really all that's left over. So I still need to find another way to get rid of these bones, which I have quite a few of, and I'm trying to work these into my systems in some way to really burn through them and not have them come out in the end like this. So we'll try something else later. But for right now, this worked really well for getting rid of excessive amounts of fruit and vegetables that I had, and for some of the other stuff, even corn cobs and things like that. So after 2 months or so, almost everything was gone. So it worked really well, and there was no odor, and it was able to happen inside my house. So thank you for watching.